Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Realty Life podcast, where we talk all things real estate and lifestyle. My name is Swarnima Bavadeep. I'm the founder and host of this podcast. As a part of our Architects Unveiled series, today we have a very unique guest with us, architect Kavita Sastry from KS Designs. She's truly a bridge, an amazing bridge between academia and commercial architectural work. And I had a great time interviewing her. And there are a lot of insights that different age groups can take from this podcast. So stay tuned. Please like, share, and subscribe so that we can create more meaningful content like this. Thank you. Hello, Kavita, and welcome to the Realty Life podcast. We're super elated to have you here. You're the first all-women run organization at the helm for us to be on the podcast. We're really looking forward to a conversation because there's a lot to learn from your career in this industry.
Thanks for having me, Swarnima, and I'm also excited, and I'm looking forward to see how I can contribute to that.
Thank you. I'm very sure. So we just wanted to start off the conversation about, why did you choose to become an architect?
So actually, it was not that I chose to become an architect. When I was studying in my 10th standard, we had to make a choice between, being either an engineer or a doctor.
Okay.
So
this is the only available options.
Those were the only options.
Yeah.
So, I did get into dentistry and almost, went and signed up for it. But so it's a very interesting story because my dad was in the Air Force, and when we were posted to Bangalore, that's when he decided to kind of, have the family stay back and continue on his TDs.
Okay.
And like I said, either a doctor or an engineer. And when I did the test, the CET thing, I got into dentistry.
Okay.
And I said, that sounds interesting, dentistry. I should take it up. And mom and me went and paid up the fees at the dental college. And my dad came back and he's like, no, you can't do that. You have to do computer science. So I must say that my dad, in his wisdom, all those years ago, saw that there was going to be this big IT boom,
Yeah.
And I was like, no, that just doesn't sound cool at all, So we asked for a change because I had gone into mechanical engineering in Gulbarga College.
Okay.
And the next change was architecture in BMS. So he said, no, we'll get a change to computer science. And I was like, no way. Something just happened to me. And I said, no, I need to, it's either dentistry or architecture. I'm not doing anything else.
Oh, wow.
And, somewhere I've always loved drawing. And I've been a big dreamer. That's a big complaint I've heard it throughout my childhood. My mom tells me to be in the moment. Even now, my friends tell me, okay, we've lost her. Earth to Kavita, it's like that.
Yeah.
So I used to write poetry, so all kinds of stuff. And I used to love to draw. I remember my chemistry and bio lab books with all those diagrams of anatomy and parts of a flower, parts of a insect. And I just loved making beautiful drawings. So I think somewhere that kind of was reinforced. And also another interesting thing was when my dad was posted to Bangalore, we also he started the construction of his house. Now my dad, because it's really commendable because, I come from Hubli. It's a very small town. And
now a large one. Yeah.
Now a large one. Yeah. And at that time, he studied in BVB College, and he had big plans for himself. So he wanted to get out, I guess, and he joined the armed forces. And coming back when we were in Bangalore, he wanted the house to be built, and guess who he went and asked? He did a research and said, okay, Jaisim. And he said, he just walked into his office and says, look, I have the site, 5080 in RT Nagar. Can you please design it?
Design a house, yeah.
And he also told him that I'm in the armed forces. I can't pay you much.
Yeah.
Okay, so please,
Yeah.
So, and this is something I came to know much later because I remember in 10th standard going for site visits with my mom.
Okay.
And you know how it is. Everybody's involved in the construction of the house. My dad wasn't around.
Their family is,
And my mom would make it a point to land up at site and with me in tow and my brother sometimes. And I saw I think somewhere that kind of
It sparks that.
it sparks that interest, and I was like, wow, this is so cool, And so I think I attribute a lot of that to the man
you picked. Yeah.
Jaisim,
Okay.
of course to my dad and to the architect Jaisim, and that's where I think somewhere subconsciously my desire
For architecture.
to yeah.
When did you kind of start your own firm, KS Designs, and how has that journey been like?
So I completed my graduation and started working with Thakur Associates.
Okay.
And I had like multiple stints, but with different architects.
Okay.
And at some point I felt that there was something, I was not getting the opportunity to express myself, So there was this strong urge that I wanted to kind of explore on my own. And that's when I decided to start my own firm. And I think it coincided with, or it became much more reinforced when we designed and constructed the house that we live in.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So there were a couple of breaks because my husband was with Bosch and we were posted in Germany. Then he was with IBM. He was in we were in London for 2 years as well.
Okay.
And plus there were kids.
All great design influence places though.
Oh, yeah.
Germany, London,
So I remember in Germany, we were just married and I couldn't really work because the visa didn't permit it. And I was there for 2 years and I would take the U-Bahn, which is the surface transport system over there. And I would just go explore every day. I would have this little knapsack and pack a snack and I'd go to ends of Stuttgart. That's where we were posted.
Oh, okay.
And every time we had a long break, we would get into the car and drive because Europe is not very big, it's very motorable.
Yeah.
So we used to just drive off in one direction, and we did so much of travel. We went to all the way up north to Switzerland, Luxembourg.
I mean, that's the dream life for a creative practitioner because you're getting influences from everywhere.
And I don't think I realized it at that point. And at that point, I was also too much in love. So I was just like, I'm just so glad we're together and we're doing
and
this.
we're away.
We were away. So we did a lot of exploration, a lot of travel, road. And I used to, that time we didn't have Google. I mean, I may sound ancient, but there was nothing, like there was no Google Maps. So I had this big, huge Autobahn and I got really good at reading maps. And that's one thing I've always loved, maps.
Okay.
And maybe, now it's something to do with design, I don't know. But getting your bearings, orientation, context, all that, I think came from there because I used to sit there, read maps, and he used to just zoom on those autobahns. So
that's a very, very interesting way to understand, like you said, the process of architecture. So, by reading maps, you gain these skill sets too.
Yeah, you learn so much about the place where you're in or, the world that you live in, for instance, on a much, much macro scale.
Yeah.
Someone once said that, every time you draw a line, you're actually changing the fabric of the city. You're changing the city, like with each line that you draw. And when you think of it like that, it's so profound.
It's the power that architects have also.
Yeah, the power of design. And we need to be so very mindful of it. We need to use it well. And it's so much more than, like you're part of this whole big universe, which you need to kind of pay your respect to.
What are the kind of services that you guys, what are the different services you avail in?
So actually, our practice is very holistic. When we take up a project, we try to provide end-to-end solutions.
Okay.
So I do, of course, architecture design. We do interiors as well, and landscape.
Oh,
so I've been very, very inspired by nature right from the beginning. Give me an open space any day. Like even now, the favorite place in my house is my sit out, which is bigger than my living room and my dining room combined. And we used to have this big gulmohar tree, and that's why I didn't want to build there. So we have this veranda where literally you can sleep, eat, live. So
Very few homes in Bangalore now have that. So
Yeah. So I think also the time when we built it, Koramangala was not so
not so commercial.
commercial. And yeah, so it's actually very, very client oriented. Whatever the client wants. I mean, I've designed furniture as well a lot of
Okay.
times.
Oh, wow.
So it's not like we do this. So every project we redefine our scope. We kind of get in really deep into the requirements and the client's needs, and there's no hard and fast rule that we do this or we don't do that.
Yeah.
So I've enjoyed and I've learned a lot doing all this because finally it's design. So it can be applied to anything. I remember at one point I was even designing clothes for myself. I still do, and
Okay. Oh, wow.
jewelry. I
Yeah.
love designing jewelry as well, and furniture. So yeah.
Everything kind of ties into the practice itself
Yeah.
in many ways.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
lovely. Okay, so on one side you do have the firm, but on the other side I know you're just retired as IID's chairperson.
Yeah.
What has that been in terms of experience, and how is it kind of tied into your career?
So, like you said, for a very long time I was a one-woman show.
Okay.
So when I joined Triple ID, that's the Indian Institute of Interior Designers, that's
Yeah.
what it's called now,
Okay.
there was a sense of belonging to a community, to a fraternity.
Yeah.
So I think that was nice because as young designers, we have so many questions. We have so many. I feel there's a lack of mentorship, which
Yeah.
was fulfilled by Triple ID. Because there were architects there with a lot more experience and they were open to sharing.
That being the key aspect, because
Yeah.
once you leave the academic waters, it's
Exactly.
hard to
You're
maneuver.
on your own. In
Yeah.
fact, I think the toughest time is when you have just graduated
Yeah.
and you're trying to find your way, your path.
Yeah.
So you are dependent on whichever firm you're working with. And this is what I tell a lot of my lot of students that and my interns and young architects, that whatever it is that you want to do, it's most important that you pick the right firm whom you admire, whose work you really love, and just work with them and do it for at least 2 to 3 years, because usually internships last 6 months, and that is like so inadequate. The life of a project itself is 15 months to 18 months if you're lucky. So interiors, of course, we do it much faster, but most projects from beginning to end take a good have a gestation period, and they take a good year at least.
Okay.
So that would be something to look at.
What is the kind of like project that you worked on there? If there was one core project that you headed
when I was
at Triple ID.
Okay, so Triple ID, yeah. So what happened at Triple ID was that it gives you an opportunity to do things which, as a lone person, it's very difficult to do alone. So it offers you a platform to do much more. Because I learned the power of collaboration, for instance, when I was at Triple ID, and I still am. But actually, I joined Triple ID, I think it's almost more than 10 years ago.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And I did it mainly because I wanted to, they had these really nice speakers coming in, doing presentations, sharing their work. So it was a great opportunity to learn. So that was the main reason. And of course, to socialize with fellow architects and professionals. And so I think it kind of fuels your growth. And it, like I said, there's a lot of learning, sharing, mentorship. And that's when I did it. But in 2016, there was this initiative called Design Yatra.
Okay.
Where, so Triple ID is actually association.
Okay.
Which has both the fraternity, which is the architects and design professionals, and also the trade. So anybody who is passionate about design or is connected with design, it's a great space to be in.
Okay.
So you get to engage with fellow architects, designers, but also with professionals, like industry professionals. So things like ProFX, Fundamax,
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah, so they are all our members.
Great space for networking,
Yeah,
more
networking,
opportunities. Yeah.
absolutely. But also, I've realized that you know, in this, at least that's my take on it, is that it's not about doing business. It's about building relationships.
Yeah.
So that is what goes much, much further. The transactional thing, you like a product, you buy it,
Yeah.
you fit it in, it's over. But this community has become so tight now because we've been part of it for so many years. It gives you a lot of credibility, that's
Yeah.
one thing. And also, you never feel alone. If you want advice, you know whom to go to.
Yeah.
If you are looking for a product, you just ask on the
Yeah.
group. If you're looking for recommendations, testimonials, how was your experience working
Yeah.
with this kitchen vendor, for instance, or this kitchen brand? We have it all at our fingertips. So it's a
Wow.
great resource space. But other than that, it also, like I said, gives you a platform to do more.
More, yeah.
Which is not possible for you to do alone. So, for instance, I remember maybe it was in 2014 that in Koramangala there is a small park in third block.
Yeah.
And there was this library over there,
Yeah, no,
So-
I've gone, I visited that library. Yeah.
So the RW actually, the bunch of residents actually came over and they just walked into my little studio and they
Okay.
said that we want to kind of renovate that
Renovate
space
that
or
space.
kind of rejuvenate that space
Yeah.
because it's just a hall divided into 4 small rooms,
Yeah.
quite dark, and so that's where and they said we're not going to pay you. So I'm like, okay, I live here, I should do something. I'm not going to ask for
Yeah.
money. Let me just do the design first
Yeah.
because we're so focused as individuals on the design and we're so excited about an opportunity to design
Yeah.
something that we want to, of course we need the money, but
Yeah.
that is secondary.
Yeah.
It should not be.
I think for a community thing,
Yeah.
knowing you, I think it's probably has
so
more
that was
importance.
so so that being part of a community, that's very important. And also somewhere, because I did that, I started thinking that we should be more involved in what happens in our neighborhood as a resident. Don't think of yourself as an architect or a designer,
And you're removed from the space.
yeah, you cannot live in a silo. You
Yeah.
are part of a community, and it's so beautiful to be part of the community
Yeah.
and to to do things together. So I really enjoyed working on that space, and
In this large, kind of plethora of things that you've done, what do you think is kind of, your niche that you've developed over the years?
so I think what I love doing
Yeah.
is homes.
Okay.
And I think, I was trying to think why is it that I love doing homes, because
Yeah.
I know I have so many friends who crib. They say like, homes we don't want to touch.
Yeah.
Give
Most
us-
architects will run away
yeah,
from
they're like,
it.
give
Yeah.
us F&B, like, well, that's overcooking.
Or commercial,
Because
anything,
it's,
yeah.
it's like time bound, it's over fast, so just
Yeah.
give us something like that.
And the market gives you a clear picture of what would work.
Yeah, I guess. So, but I love doing homes, and I think a lot of it has to do with my mom, because I remember as Air Force officer's wife,
Yeah.
she had these. We used to move a lot,
Yeah.
and she had these.
Transfers.
We used to we had these big wooden boxes at that time because
Okay.
we had to keep moving from one city to the other depending on where Dad was posted, and she had these 4 boxes which she would never unpack. And I was like, what's in those boxes? And she's like, that's when your dad, finally decides, says bye to the Indian Air Force,
Force, yeah.
and we have a home of our own. That's when I'm going to unpack it.
Okay.
So, that feeling of being rooted to
Yeah.
a place and
Yeah.
calling it your home is something which is very, very inherent and very, very, how do I say, very important to each and every one
Yeah.
of us. It's like one of our basic necessities.
Yeah.
Like they say, roti
I think
kapda.
especially for a woman also, it kind of
Yeah,
brings everything into
absolutely.
perspective.
Yeah, so traditionally the woman is the homemaker,
Yeah.
and I guess she used to teach. She was a teacher, and she used to
Okay.
teach at Sophia's. In fact, that was her last stint, and So that feeling of rootedness, that I need a space of my own, a home where I can finally unpack and just be,
Yeah.
So maybe that's why I love doing homes. They are challenging because it's not just one client. There's the husband, wife, kids. I've had clients walk in with kids and kids telling me what they want, like 7-year-olds telling me what they want.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay. And then, of course, there are uncles, aunts, parents, in-laws. So it's a very, very difficult to kind of get a clear brief,
and
it's
everyone's
a process.
emotions are tied to it. So
Absolutely, it's such an emotional thing to build a home. It's more of a so then. But I love that. And I love because even the rewards are emotional. I think because of that. So to see them happy and to see them appreciate what you've done, and for them to see the value that you've added. I think that's a big takeaway for
reward
me. Reward and takeaway. Yes.
But if you kind of take us through, say, an example of a challenging home in terms of design or the kind of clientele you deal with, can you take us through like an example of that?
Yeah, so I think one of the most challenging homes that I have done is the one which we did in Sajapur Road.
Okay.
And this was actually, we did the Bhumi Puja and COVID hit.
Oh, okay.
So there was a lockdown, for 6 months. And I was, because as it is to get the brief right, it's so difficult. And clients, most of them, or some of them, can't visualize or can't anticipate. So most clients come to me and they say, we want something contemporary, for instance.
Yeah.
And then when I give them something contemporary, they're like, no, but can you add some wood here, or can you make a little, an arch here, or, make it a little more.
Even the thoughts also evolve, I think.
Yeah. So I understand that it's not the client's take of contemporary and my take of contemporary is very, very different.
Yeah.
So to understand their take is the key, basically. So that took some time, but anyway, we got going, and that 6 months of lockdown where we had the labor migration and all, that was like, it was heart-wrenching, so it was very, very difficult to see that, and there was just so much confusion prevalent at that time because nobody knew what COVID was.
And how the industry will cope with it or react to it, no one knew.
So that was a real tough project where we had all the designs ready, and we had started with the foundation, and we had to literally abandon the site, But I think COVID also taught us a lot of lessons. It taught us to be kinder. It brought us, brought out the community aspect, that how important family is. It actually helped to separate the, it give you a clearer vision as to who are the people that you want to,
I think even homes
close.
Changed, right? Because
homes
of that.
Changed. And I mean, like there were, in fact, this house itself, I asked the client, Siddharth was his name, and I said, because he was like a big, he is still, of course, he's into fitness. And so I said, Sid, do you want a gym in the house? So he's like, no way, I go to the gym every day. I don't want to work out at home and all. So I said, okay, fine. And sure enough, he comes back and he says, gyms are shut. And I don't know what's going to happen. So please, can we have a gym in the house? So things like that, and work from home spaces.
Yeah. That's the new trend. Yeah.
And the nicest thing I think about COVID was our dependence on, artificial environments was actually questioned. So it brought back homes into limelight, the importance of having a home, a shelter of your own, which is well lit, well ventilated, where you're not dependent on artificial means. And basically, so
I think in cities it's changed because a lot of people who migrated, especially like a city like Bangalore, a lot of people who migrate truly realize the importance of owning a home and making it the space that you want it to be.
True. So before that, we were doing homes, and people were wanted all the comforts, but nobody was using them. Everybody was out all the time, and here everybody was forced to be together, forced to be, in one space.
And make use of the space.
Make use of the space. And
Yeah.
I think homes really, have stood the test of time. So,
Lovely.
yeah.
What are the other kind of projects that you work on, that you enjoy working on?
So actually here I'd like to speak about Chianti, which is very, very close to my heart.
Okay.
It's an Italian restaurant which we started in 2012. And at that time, restaurants were more about the food than
Yeah.
the decor.
Yeah.
So
Definitely.
and it was not it was like, it could be a hall with tables and chairs, as long as it served good food.
Yeah.
We were there. And so I asked, Sudhir has kind of started this thing with the two partners of his from IBM,
Okay.
two friends. And I asked him for a brief. I said, look, you want me to do this space?
Design,
Give me
yeah.
a design brief. Very, very, by the book.
Yeah.
So he's like, you know what I like? Just design a restaurant,
Yeah.
So
Cryptic
very,
design
very
brief.
cryptic. So I was like, okay. And I had to literally research so much, because first of all, I've never designed a restaurant before
Okay.
that. And secondly, there was no brief. And, so I just had to do a lot of research. And I did the research and I asked him for clues. And finally, I understood that what he wanted to do, or what the kind of food he was looking to serve, was rustic Italian. So that was the theme
Yeah.
on which I worked around.
Yeah.
And once I got that clue, getting materials and working on the palette,
Yeah.
color palette, mood boards, all
Everything
that.
comes together.
It kind
yeah.
of, so you need that one strong concept or
Yeah.
one strong story, one strong clue. Just that one thing from the client, and you can literally develop on it. So actually, if you look at the first restaurant, which is in Koramangala,
Yeah.
and the latest one, which we finished last year in Eco World in RMZ.
Yeah.
There are some things which are, which give you the same vibe, because that's the key when you are doing a chain.
A chain, yeah.
And you still have to follow the context of the site, because
Yeah.
every site is different. Some
True.
are in a mall, some are in a neighborhood.
And target audience is different.
Yeah, some are like in IT park.
Yeah.
So that's where the context comes in, and
Yeah.
of course the site itself. So
But I think the visual language kind of.
yeah, the visual and the feel of the space. I
Yes.
said, how do you want people to feel when they walk into the space? So that's very important. So he's like, no, I want like generous tables, because I want people to, I want big families to come.
Yeah. It's like the Italians, right?
Yeah. So,
Everything is a shared big
Yeah. And
affair,
it's interesting you should say that, because Italians do this al fresco dining, and
Yeah.
Bangalore is perfect for that.
Yeah, true.
So it's so nice
Yeah.
to be outside and to kind of have a meal or a coffee or
Yeah.
some wine. And so in the last one which we finished, which was in Eco World, it was in front of a water body. There was a water body in the IT park. So what I did, I recessed the area which had to be indoor dining with ACs and all that.
Yeah.
So that I kept the outside with fans, and it was very, very cool. Because it was in front of a water body. Plus, it was there was grass on top.
Okay.
There was a lawn on top. So I felt that really gave us, of course, apart from smart savings,
Yeah.
it brought in that flavor of being outside, and we did a lot of plants, and we had the water body. So that worked very well. So
Lovely.
it gave us that lovely al fresco dining feel, which.
I think one of the repetitive or more distinct themes I've been seeing here is kind of the feeling of community, like you said in your work. How do you think, what is the role of architects in shaping a community or impacting someone's life?
So I think we all have that social responsibility at some level. We just need to wake up to it. And I think for me it happened through Triple ID.
Okay.
That's when I realized, like I said, we are part of a bigger fraternity, and it might have happened eventually, because I don't know if I feel that designers and have a lot of empathy. So that is something which helps us while we do our work, and also helps us when we have to work or live in a community. So that was the key. And so what I did was that at one of the discussions, there was a panel discussion going on during the design yatra that I mentioned.
Yeah.
And somebody mentioned, and I think it was Naresh, he said that in New York, it's mandated that 1% of your time should be done, kept for community projects.
Okay.
For the design
So this is
community
pro
over there.
bono.
Yeah, it's
work.
pro bono, and you're required. It's like how when you get into the armed force, like, you have to sign up if there is something, the people within this age group. So that really, struck a chord. And I'm like, this is a platform. We're an association. What are we doing? Other than sharing and learning, what are we doing for the community?
Yeah.
And that's when we decided to put together this initiative where we would do pro bono services for community projects.
Wow.
So under this scheme we have done, and we call it Code Studio. So Community Design Studio.
Oh, okay. I love
And
it.
I remember a few of us got together and we designed the logo and everything. So that was really nice. And anyway, so we started this, and the key over here is that because see, all of us have limited time.
Yeah.
So when we're doing pro bono, the project has to be a given.
Yeah, it has been contained also in that time limit.
So we do our projects through NGOs only.
Okay.
So we need an NGO to get us a project. So that is, it's certified, valid, credible. And then we also look for volunteers. So it's a collaborative model where we collaborate with another architect. And 3 is, of course, it's pro bono. So what happens is a lot of companies use their CSR funds for this. And they give it to the NGO, and the NGO takes care of the payments to the contractors and the other consultants like Structures and MEP. So that's the model. And under this, we have done, I think, about 2 shelters.
Okay.
One was in Sheshadripuram, one was in Siddhapur.
Okay.
And we've done about 4 schools with various degrees of, interventions, like design interventions. So somewhere it was just construction of a toilet block. Somewhere it was addition of classrooms. So what we do a master plan. We take all the requirements and we project it like over a period of 5 to 6 years. And we do a master plan based on that. And then we tell them that we advise them on how they can achieve it phase-wise.
Okay.
And because, see, most of them get funds only phase-wise.
Yeah.
So, what used to happen is some donor will come, he'll give 2 lakhs. I'll say, okay, let's paint the building.
Yeah.
Some guy will come, give another 3 lakhs. Okay, let's build 1 toilet.
Yeah.
So you'll have these 3-4 toilets.
They have no connection to
No
each other.
connection. And they're just there because with the donor's name on it.
Yeah.
So I was actually talking to the NGOs and saying, why don't we do it in a way? One, we of course do a master plan.
Yeah.
And then you build it and when the funds come up. The other thing is make 1 plaque and put all the donors' names, so that you get a better result.
I think also, like you said, the master plan will give them a vision of how it could actually look.
Yeah, and it'll, of course, a lot of things will still happen organically, but at least there is a clear path.
Yeah.
So I remember when we were doing one project in, I think it was in Abhigere.
Okay.
This was a government school. So a lot of that's the other nice thing about government schools, that a lot of NGOs work with government schools. Not to say that I don't know what the government is doing.
Yeah.
Why aren't they pushing it?
Yeah.
But most schools where there are NGOs involved, I've seen those schools do really well. The children are more confident. There are more admissions. The NGO brings teachers, they bring educators, they conduct workshops, they conduct science fairs.
There's more commitment also from their side.
Yeah, and they equip labs. So because they have the connect.
Yeah.
So those schools and those children do really well.
Fair.
So yeah, so that was one thing. And by collaborating with a different architect every time. So I remember in one school I was working with Senthil Kumar,
Okay.
and this was with Akshay Patra was the NGO. And what happened was they came back to us and they said, your design's very nice, but this is how we get funds, So we said, you tell us that, because we've generated the brief, we've done everything. Tell us what it is, that what the hurdle is. So what we did a modular classroom, and we did the costing of that at 6 lakhs.
Okay.
So we said every time, and we did a master plan, and we showed them how the classrooms could be arranged.
Yeah.
So I said every time you get 6 lakhs, collect 6 lakhs, build one, and that way it
Add
can
to
keep
it,
growing.
yeah.
And most government schools have really big real estate.
Yeah.
So they have the space. It's just that they don't know how to manage it properly. It
True.
mostly gets misused. So this way, when there's a plan and if the community is also involved, because the headmaster is involved, the teachers are involved, the panchayat is involved.
There are too many stakeholders,
there are too many stakeholders. But in a way, it's good because then they all have a common plan to look at and, to kind of deliberate on.
You said collaboration. How do you, especially with working with an NGO, there's so many stakeholders, right? How do you keep and manage all of that together in a project?
So this actually also depends on how good the NGO is.
Okay.
But we try to do what we are supposed to do, like our scope, pretty much clear. And it's very important to have multiple meetings initially, so that they know what all you're bringing and they know their scope. So I think it just gets easier when there's an NGO involved, because they take care of all the other stuff. They're
and
literally
managing
the client.
Expectations.
So they are the client, and plus they have access to funds. So so they actually take care of everything. So our scope is very easy in that sense, and we can focus on design.
What are the kind? You said you've done about 6 to 7 projects as a part of this thing.
Yeah.
What are the rewards? I'm sure.
So it's so strange you should ask me that, but I was just invited to the annual day of one of the schools that we had done.
Oh wow!
And it was really lovely to see the children performing their dances, and basically like a talent show. I remember going for my children's annual day, and it used to be something that we had to do. So we got around it, and we were okay, it's done, both are done. So now, but this was something else, because to see everybody so happy, and to see there were people there. There was this ex hockey player, this guy. He had come, and he gives free coaching to the children.
Okay.
So he was one of the person,
the chief guest,
for this thing. And just to see, and this school that I'm talking about is actually a school in which our scope was really, what do I say, wholesome.
Wholesome, okay.
Because there was this school, a government school, which was built in 1913 by the British, and it was literally a heritage structure.
Oh, wow.
So the NGO approached us, and they said, we have a quote for 16 lakhs. Can you just have a look at it? And it was Ashwini Charitable Trust. That was the NGO.
Okay.
And so we got together, and I realized something was wrong. So I said, I need to look at the site, because you can't just look at a quote and say it's right or wrong till you go to the site and look at the actual
scope of work.
So I went to the site, and it was really beautiful. There was this really old tiled roof structure, quite tall, and colonial style, and it was in such a bad state of disrepair. But it was so peaceful walking into that site, and they had just built so this structure, because the roof tiles had been damaged, water had entered the building, and it was very, very weak, and it was actually dangerous.
It's more of sounds like a restoration project.
This is a restoration project. So this, and because of that, they just barricaded that. They were using it as a storeroom of sorts. And, they said, okay, we'll repair it and reuse it, or probably headed for demolition. And then what I did, because I've never done a restoration project of this scale, like a heritage building. So I got in touch with, and this was a Triple ID Connect with Pankaj Modi, architect, who was heading Intac at that time. And I said, there's this project, there's this court, I need a contractor. Because the building had a timber truss, which was, vintage. So this guy might have given 16 lakhs, he'll take the wood and go and, put something, who's going to know?
It's a fragile structure, you have to maneuver through it
So then this guy, and this was the key, he put me on to this contractor called, his name was Mahesh Niganna. He's a conservation contractor.
Oh, wow,
So he's done work in Mysore with the palace and all that.
I mean, I think most of our audience won't even know that this sort of a niche exists in contractors.
So it was news to me as well, but it was, and that's exactly why if you are an expert in something, and if you're not, it's important to get the right advice for the good of the project. It's not about personal this thing. It's more about taking a more professional. This is where your thing kicks in, like where you say like, I want to do this right. That is more important. So I spoke to Mahesh, and he really was the key, because he takes so much pride in his work, and he knows how to go around it. His whole team came, and they literally lived at the site. And the whole process took about 9 to 10 months. And his quote was actually 27 lakhs. And the NGO, Ashwini Charitable Trust, had the sponsor already on board. They said, we have a sponsor. When can we start? And then I said, no, the quote is wrong. We need to get a proper quote from a proper person. So I got this guy, he gave the quote, and we managed to get it approved. And work started, and I think at that time it was just so nice to go for site visits, watch the whole process. And again, it was a big learning, because they were mixing lime mortar at site. And
it hasn't been done for a while.
And they were doing it so painstakingly, because there were layers and layers of paint, and they didn't want to. It was a load-bearing brick structure, so they had to kind of and they were very cute stone chhajjas. There was a wraparound veranda which had the Birmingham cast iron columns. So, and I actually found that out because this project won commendation at the IIA Awards, National Awards. So I remember talking to the jury and saying that, perhaps these columns were original Birmingham. And he said, yes. Sarosh Wadia was on the panel, architect Sarosh Wadia, and he said that time, because of the war, they wanted to do so much construction there that whatever was damaged or, which they didn't want to use, they would just ship it to their colonies.
Okay, Kavita, so the new trend now is this whole thing going around about sustainability, going local in terms of material. Have you done something like that in your line of work?
So actually, sustainability is a very intimidating word to an extent, and it means different things to different people. Because I was actually, so this is something that I've been very closely following, and no two definitions are same. People say it's about not harming the environment, it's about long lasting, something that's durable, something that's natural, something that has a span. In fact, there's this architect called Anupama Kundu, and she is right now, I think, in Spain, but she studied in Bombay, and she's from Pondicherry, basically. And I'm a big fan of her work. So I think what I have understood is that sustainability is something, in terms when it's applied to design, is one, it's climate responsive design. It's using materials which are local. of course, they're durable. And I think it also starts with your actual requirement. When you build just as much as you need.
Yeah.
So to keep a project sustainable, it needs to be very, very tight, right from the brief itself. And then, of course, you get into the construction methods. Local is better. Materials, less travel miles. And this is something, again, which I think was reinforced by COVID. That when, we needed materials, but we were cut off.
Yeah.
We couldn't get anything, forget getting anything from abroad. You couldn't even get something within
the same state, actually,
in the same
in
state.
some ways. Yeah.
So it was difficult, and that's when we made a conscious effort to source everything local, or as local as possible, within our context. I remember saying that we will use Indian brand Jaguar for the sanitary for this particular project that we're working on. And also I wanted to use Kajaria tiles because, I said it's made here, local, desh ki mitti and all that. You have Akshay Khanna saying that.
Yeah.
But it was so strange that this particular tile I ordered finally. This guy says, ma'am, 2 months. I said, why? You're making it here. Where's your factory? She said, no, everything is there. But the pigment has to come from China. So I'm like, then where's the,
the going local,
desh ki mitti and all that. So anyway, but so they, and also like when we were trying to set up the CCTV systems for these homes, apparently the chip again, there was a big shortage of that, and everything was there. The components were all there, but that one thing had to come from somewhere else. So yes, there are challenges, and we learn as we go. But I have realized that again, coming back, like using Kadapa. So I'd gone to so Frank Lloyd Wright. So he's another American great legendary architect, and Falling Waters is on everybody's list. So I remember going there. So along with a friend of mine, and we met up with another classmate over there, and we three of us drove down to from Delaware to Pennsylvania, where this is. And I remember walking into the house, and I saw on the floor something that looked very similar to Kadapa. And I mean, I was just like floored, literally, and I love it because, a material also is so much more than just a way to kind of finish a space. It took me right back to my village or my grandfather's place, which had Kadapa stone flooring. And the Kadapa, the thing is, you don't get it. The sizes are not very accurate. So it was like the floor was paved in we call it crazy paving, where it's cut at different angles and just put together with cement mortar.
Like a jigsaw thing.
And that's how it's done in the villages. And like a good stone floor will last you ages. So and
it becomes better over time. Actually.
It actually gets a sheen when you look at the temples.
Arthanguri tiles, I think, says that over time the tile evolves to become better.
With usage. Same with red oxide flooring. So where have all these materials gone? Why aren't we using it? So for one project, I wanted to use Indian white marble because I said we should use what is available here. Apparently, those quarries are exhausted. In the Makrana white. But we still do get it's not as easy to find, but it's important to do that exercise where you actually try to source local Indian materials. And I'm a big fan of Indian stones, and I found various ways of using them, and I always love, and my clients are also very, very happy with the results. So I think that's one big step towards sustainability. And climate responsive design with windows positioned correctly, cross ventilation, plenty of sunlight. Now these are not very difficult to do for a home, and and then minimize your ventilated spaces, like things like hospitals, labs, auditoriums. Obviously, you have to do these
Add those additions, yeah.
HVAC solutions. So there, you go for those lead rating and all that. But where you can avoid it, try to avoid it. So there's that Bangalore International Center.
Yeah, BIC. Yeah.
Such a beautiful space,
Yeah.
at minimal HVAC.
Yeah.
So
And like when you said community and BIC, it really like with unknowingly, it's like silent design. It kind of brings everything
it has
together.
that quota floor.
Yeah.
It has your exposed brick.
Yeah. I did my graduate expo there, and it has the best memories.
So we actually do our design Nuru there every other year. So this is a design festival, which is again a part of the Triple ID thing. And I've been part of almost 3 design Nurus where I've curated along with the team. I have Akshara Verma, who's my co-conspirator, partner in crime for the festival.
Yeah.
But of course, it takes the entire managing committee to put it all together. And it's so amazing. The fraternity in Bangalore is so receptive and so giving. They want to participate, and we never have a issue when we want curators. There are nobody says no. So it's a wonderful community, and I'm just glad that we could achieve it.
Everything could come together.
Yeah, and every year it's getting better.
It also is. It's like bringing also your work to the city, not personal work, but to say your idea of architecture.
I think the fraternity kind of everybody wants the same thing. They want a better city, they want a better design, and they want better learning. So when everybody wants the same thing, it just has to happen.
Comes together.
So it's amazing, the design fraternity in Bangalore. So grateful for it. I'm so glad I'm in Bangalore and not anywhere else.
We are glad too.
It's fun going out and doing work and all that, but it's lovely just to be here and come back.
And to really know the kind of people that you're catering to.
Yeah.
What is, because you said you've done work in homes, what do you see as the the trends that would be up and coming in both architecture and interior design, because you specialize in both?
So I think one big trend which started post-COVID was craft integration.
Yeah.
So that also helps us with the context, because in India, every 100 km there is the geography changes, the cuisine changes, the clothes change, the language change, and the craft, like the handcrafted of, whether it's your hand printed stuff or it's wood.
Pottery, wood.
So we have the Channapatna toys, we have, the other arts, the Tarakesh work, the marquetry. There's so much skill. So I see a big revival of that. Also, I'm part of a group which is, trying to integrate crafts into design. So it gives you, again, a sense of belonging, a sense of the geography, a sense of being rooted.
And authenticity, I think, in many ways.
And it makes your home that much more personal, when you empower these crafts.
Yeah.
So that's one big trend. The other trend, I would say, is I think our living spaces are going to become bigger. Maybe I would love to say, so this is one thing I noticed post-COVID again, is that before I had to literally fight to incorporate a garden into a home. Everybody just wanted to build. But now they are more receptive to that. So getting outdoor in, biophilic design. So that's another trend. And
in terms of interiors, what do you see as the keywords that are?
So I think interiors, the identity of a space, as personal as possible, customization. Like I said, during COVID, we discovered that you can get almost everything here, if not more, So finding out and incorporating it correctly and customizing it.
Yeah.
Customization abroad, you have to pay through your nose. Here, we don't even realize what we are blessed with. So we should, take advantage of that, empower our craftsmen, and reinvent craft in a more contemporary, global kind of a setting.
Yeah, it's like finding newer applications for what
So
we've had.
you can see the big brands in which are doing really well, Indian brands.
Yeah.
One is Jaipur Rugs.
Yeah.
One is Forest Essentials. It's like we have everything, and we need to figure out how to package it and how to kind of put it out there. So stories are important. Tanishq, that's another Indian brand which has gone. Jaguar is they have a store in Milan. They have a store in. They've gone global. So so we have what it takes to be out there. We have more than what it takes. It's just a matter of putting it all together correctly.
When it kind of ties back to what you were talking about in terms of like homes and thinking of all of this. How do you kind of maintain the balance between making something look pretty and then actually making it function the way it should?
Yeah, so the most important thing is it has to work.
Yeah.
And beauty is important. So when you tie up these two together, you're bound to come up with a winner.
Yeah. But how do you kind of balance that? Because usually it's, at least as a consumer, you're driven by aesthetic, right?
True, and I think that's a skill that we have, that, we see how to, we visualize it. We visualize how to make useful things beautiful.
Yeah, okay.
And that's the
That's a great
secret
piece.
weapon.
Usually we all come with an empty slate saying, this is the house. We have a few expectations of how it ideally
it's
would
very,
look.
very important to get that, like I said, that one clue, that one story, from the client, the heart of the project.
We're going to shift a little bit focus in terms of what your personal life looks like. What's next for Kavita Sastry minus KS Designs?
So, actually, I've been doing it all. I've always tried to maintain a good work-life balance.
Okay.
So I think I've been pretty much doing whatever I wanted to do, maybe a little slower. But
with two daughters, I guess that kind of.
Yeah, so now that the kids are kind of settled or on their own, young adults, young ladies, I have more time to focus on work. And I think travel, of course, to see places. And I want to do more treks because there's always something I've wanted to do and keeps getting pushed back. But I want to get back to trekking seriously.
That's lovely. I haven't heard a lot of women say that.
It's something being in the mountains. I don't know what it is. It just makes you feel that you're part of something so much bigger. And it just makes you feel so grateful. So I think, that connect with nature is something that we all aspire to. And
Lovely. What's next for KS Designs after its 20-year stint now?
So I think I feel I still have some power left.
Okay. I'm sure you have a lot of power left. You're still doing treks.
In fact, we've signed up for a run now.
Okay.
Anyway, so there is a lot of enthusiasm. There's a lot of projects that I would love to take up.
Yeah.
And I feel I have a lot more time. So I'm looking forward to that. And also, I've kind of got involved in academia. So I've been lecturing at a couple of colleges. I'm on the board of studies of a college as well in Mysore. And I'm enjoying kind of navigating all of this. So
that's lovely because a lot of people in a commercial line of work would crave to be in academia. You've kind of found the perfect bridge to bring both together.
I think it's when you mentor and when you're involved with students, it's very stimulating and energizing. And plus, again, there's a lot of learning. You get to see the pulse of the
The
youth,
next gen,
yeah,
yeah.
the next gen, and it somewhere motivates you and pushes you. So it gives you a high.
What's your advice, for someone just starting off their architectural career or who wants to found their own firm?
So one piece of advice is that please do work with a practice for at least 3 to 4 years
Okay.
initially, and choose somebody whom you admire, because it helps you to chart your own course.
Cool.
You learn how an office is run, how to deal with clients. You're exposed to how to a fee structure, like how do you charge for projects, and how you kind of build a team also. Like every project is finally a successful outcome of a collaboration between the client, between the contractor, and the architect. So so
And every
it's
project you're trying to find new people.
yeah. So so depends on the project, but yes. So team building, you know, motivating teams, uh, working with other agencies.
Yeah.
These are all skills which you kind of pick up. The other thing I would like to say is upskill yourself. Sometime back it was like I still love drawing by hand, do all my sketches like that. We moved to AutoCAD, so the transition was pretty easy because it happened just after my final year. But now we have AI on the horizon.
Yeah.
Not on the horizon, it's here.
So we just haven't taken to it fully, I guess.
Yeah, so there's a lot of, how do I say it? There's a lot of concern over AI. But my take on it is that, it's another tool. So it's up to us to make use of it. But upskilling yourself, you are already, putting yourself out there to a firm, and you are kind of, what do I say? You're making yourself indispensable.
Yeah.
So upskill yourself. Make sure you have the latest software for your drawings. Enscape, Lumion for your 3Ds, because now as design is getting more and more special, there are so many stakeholders. 3Ds and 3D renders help everybody with visualization and bringing everybody on the same page. So that is very important. Your approvals are quicker, and whatever you're doing, your engagement in it is kind of propelling the project. So that's very important. So one is pick a good firm that you admire. That'll help you charter your own profession, like, chart the course for your own profession, which direction you want to go in, whether it's vernacular architecture, restoration, whether you want to do luxury interiors, or you want to specialize in F&B or office projects. You have it all. So, pick your path, upskill yourself for sure, and hard work. There is no substitute for hard work.
Yeah, especially in the architectural field. Yeah.
So it's been a great ride. Yeah,
That's
it's been a very, very, very satisfying journey. So, yeah.
Thank you so much for taking the time off and doing the podcast. This will be very informative with the kind of information you've given. I'm sure it's useful to all sorts of target audiences.
Yeah.
But thank you so much, and we hope to have you for a part 2.
Okay.
Maybe on a very specific subject.
Yeah. We could do that.
That we would love to have you there.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
So, Kavita, you were talking about the core project that you did with Triple ID. How does the model kind of work?
So the Code Studio model, which over the years we have fine-tuned, and it boils down to this. One is that we always work with an NGO.
Yeah.
Because that makes the project valid, so we know it's a real, true project, and we can dedicate our time to it. Secondly, it's pro bono, so we don't charge for our services, design services, but any other consultancy services, like the structural guy has to be paid, or, of course, the contractor has to be paid for his work. Any other services are chargeable and paid directly to that agency.
Okay.
The third thing is the sponsor, or the person who is going to fund the project.
Okay.
And this is done usually through CSR. So this we help in finding that, and we route it through the NGO, so that the NGO does all the payments to all the agencies. So we found that this system works best.
Right.
Our first project was a block of toilet actually that we built for shelter, and we've done different scales.
Scales, okay.
Yeah, somewhere it's the dining area, somewhere we've constructed classrooms, somewhere it's a toilet block, but master plan is what we like to focus on.
Lovely. I think one of the things that's most that we want to ask every architect, what are your top 5 inspirations in terms of work?
So I think the top inspiration is nature,
Yeah,
because
okay.
it's sometimes, you know, you look and you just, I mean, it just, you know, you wonder at all the variety, the sheer variety,
Yeah.
you know, and all the forms, shapes, colors, textures. So yeah, that's inspiration number 1. Other than that, I've had some architects who have really influenced my line of thought. Frank Lloyd Wright.
Okay.
There's whose work I was fortunate enough to see. There's Le Corbusier,
Okay.
who has done work in India, and as well as, he was a French architect. Apart from that, Anupama Kundu,
Okay.
she's Indian architect. Then we have architect Brinda Somaya, who does a lot of work in heritage and restoration. She's done in Mumbai. And yeah, I think B.V. Doshi, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
That's a big one.
yeah, that's a big one. Yeah. And we also, I mean, I had an opportunity to meet Charles Correa when I'd gone for the Z-Axis convention in Goa.
Okay.
So that was another big moment.
Like a fan moment.
Fan moment.
Lovely.